Well, tonight, cancer conwoman Belle Gibson is back in the headlines after revelations she never paid the price for what was one of the greatest swindles Australia has ever seen. Now, one of her victims is speaking out.
Belle, are you prepared to tell the truth today? The whole truth? No little
Absolutely.
half truths, no gobbledygook. The truth.
No, I've been really transparent.
She was the cancer conwoman who sent shockwaves around the nation.
And if
Except
any...
you didn't have brain cancer.
No, I didn't.
Disgraced wellness guru Belle Gibson's scandal thrust back into the spotlight by a new drama series detailing how she fooled her followers into thinking she'd cured herself through natural remedies before she was eventually exposed as a pathological liar.
How old are you?
I've always been raised as being currently a 26-year-old.
Belle never faced criminal charges for her actions, but was slapped with more than $400,000 in civil fines for making false medical claims and lying about donations to charity. Now, almost 8 years on, it's been revealed that Belle still hasn't paid a cent, claiming she can't afford it.
There are fines outstanding, and Consumer Affairs Victoria is pursuing this constantly and consistently and won't let up.
Those caught in her web of lies demanding justice.
Just to remember that there's been really vulnerable people in real life that have been impacted by this.
Cancer survivor Belle Johnston was one of those who was sucked into the elaborate con. Belle's lack of accountability, a slap in the face for those like Bella, whose lives were forever changed.
Belle Johnston was diagnosed with cancer in her neck and lymph nodes, and as we just heard, was one of those who fell for Belle Gibson's con. Bella, you're in remission now, but when you had cancer, how did you get sucked in by Belle?
That's such a great question, and I think it's really important to understand the social context of 2014. There wasn't a lot of influences at the time, and I think culturally we were all really in that era of clean eating, veganism, raw till 4. There was a lot of diet culture, and I had been misdiagnosed for so long that by the time I'd stumbled across Belle Gibson's content, it was before I'd actually even received a cancer diagnosis. And so I was 43 kilos, I was dying, and I was looking for anything to help me because I'd just been let down by the medical system so badly.
Did you ever consider stopping your treatment while following Belle?
I mean, yeah, I considered it. Fortunately, my dad really pulls the strings on those kinds of decisions, and I never really had a chance to stop conventional medicine. But I think what it meant for me to look at Belle Gibson's content was that I was, feeling horrible from my cancer treatment. I was struggling with the changes in my body and my face. And I was looking at Belle Gibson on Instagram and I was like, she looks incredible. It must be the conventional medicine that's making me look so awful, look and feel so awful.
So many of us fell for that con. Did you believe her that she'd cured her stage 4 brain cancer with juice?
I mean, it sounds so outrageous when you say it, but yeah, we all believed her. And I think it's actually not that hard to imagine, because when you're desperate and looking for answers and somebody's giving them to you in such a palatable, Instagrammable, aesthetic way, like, you want to believe that.
What about your personal feelings towards Belle? Like, does it make you angry that she kind of still hasn't paid for her actions?
I am not angry anymore. I think what Belle did was abhorrent. I think it was terrible, but I also hold a lot of empathy for a lonely young single mother who was clearly struggling to connect with people. While that doesn't excuse her behaviours at all, I do think it's important not to villainize everybody, because when you look at people in the context of good and bad, you really lose like the grey areas of humanity. I think that what's happened is she's fallen victim to a really slow and broken justice system in Australia. She should have been criminally charged 10 years ago. She should have been able to serve a punishment for her crime, and we should have been able to move on.
Bella, this all happened almost a decade ago. Do you think the wellness industry has changed for the better or worse?
I think it has changed, and it's become more insidious, if anything. I think we're living in a time right now where people can post anything online and they're rewarded for outrageous behaviour. I think that we've become so desensitized to people claiming all sorts of nonsense online that we've lost almost some of our media literacy when it comes to questioning these things, and people claiming they can cure anything through like bags of rocks. I don't know. You see all sorts of stuff online now.
Belle Johnston, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
What a remarkable young woman Bella is. I've got to say, though, I mean, Belle Gibson gave hope to people at a time when they were feeling pretty hopeless. And you just wonder how many people had stopped their treatment, had gone against what their doctors had said because they believed the lies that Belle Gibson was spinning. I mean, that's the unforgivable part of this, that lives may have been lost. Like, enough about the money, but to be selling this hope to people who didn't feel like they had any, that is just, I think it's just abhorrent.
And the terrifying thing is there'd be plenty of other Belle Gibson-esque people on social media selling this kind of stuff, when the unfortunate thing is that people are really sold by good photos.
Yeah.
And a believable, sort of interesting story that's relatable. And, you know, so if you can get the hooks in with something like that, you can just pull the wool over a whole bunch of people's eyes who are looking for anything at that time of their lives to grab onto, take hold of, and that sense of community that sometimes they just want. They don't know anybody else in their life going through this.
You're drawn to it. You want, that connection. Media literacy is something Bella mentioned then, which I thought was a really interesting point. It's a hard thing to kind of quantify or teach, but it's something I think we all need to think about, especially dealing with health issues and what you see online.
Sure.